in general concerning Mortemia's works and our current excursion for the remainder of the pandemic pandemonium sessions. I walked in with positive expectancy, given my familiarity to Morten Veland, which I've been building out a little over a year now at this point, just by a couple of months, from different outlets, Mortemia and Sirenia primarily amongst his works. And I've gotten a good window for what I can expect going in, so even just on perspective entry, I have faith. That's been the story for the tracks I've humored in selection with Mortemia, specifically from whatever album it might be. And I do have a couple more I have to listen to, which is the story of where we sit currently with the pandemic pandemonium sessions. And 10 out of 12 works of what we've witnessed, that's been the case of high regard. And I will assume the last two that we have to entertain are going to be the same story. This was a return journey, as I've stated before, with the album. I did previously sum it up at the first 7 tracks on entry, but I'm like, we only have 5 more to go. And I've spoken more on the details why, and I'll get to those in a minute. Just reiterate, for anybody who's not yet approached Mortemia, or perhaps taken the journey with me, right? Maybe you've enjoyed Mortemia on your own, and so you're taking a mutual perspective today, right? I welcome any approach, right? And from whatever point of familiarity with you, or lack of familiarity, for some maybe, that's where I was at one point, and witnessing his works, I feel greatly rewarded. And I hope you share in that judgment. As I hope with really any artist at Gracefish Channel, I do feel honored to be recognizing talents like Mortemia. Music is a first love in my life, and I think it does help embolden and enrich the process to enjoy it in company, or to provide roots for that, especially for where I usually sit on certain artists I approach within the European rock and metal world, which I have grown in a mad love to. And I know some of you, maybe who have not stepped foot yet, will experience the same. Maybe this could be the track that triggers you into that path. If you are not yet familiarized to Mortemia, or have even heard the name, to set an ease of access for you, Norwegian-based Gothic symphonic metal. Know that going in. This is very much a one-man guided project on behalf of Morten Veland managing it. He's been regarded frequently by many as a visionary in the metal space, and I do affirm that label. I think it's deserved with him. But the thing I really like about Mortemia, beyond just, again, isolated expressions from each track's judgment of what, again, we've witnessed, the model, what I call the Mortemia model, this collaborative network of sorts, that's the essence of Mortemia. He does the scoring side of some vocal involvement, but there is a mandated collaborative presence from another artist, at this point from around the globe, typically of European foundation, but there are some that maybe crossover from different sides. And we have another example, like in the past we had with the Adrenalize song of Katarina Nix, frontwoman of Chaos Magic and Somber Wind, who I loved that work. And that's been the story to every judgment I've offered of Mortemia. Each track has been stellar, and on this album in general, it's been a great ride. I know this one will be equally as promising. And I want to be fair in how I approach all the artists, right? And to explain more again about the Mortemia model, as somebody who is self-diving his way into the European rock and metal foray, I am exercising a self-led educational homework journey. And this is what I love about collaborations, right? When it comes to familiarized names, you approach with someone you know and you learn about somebody new. And I use Mortemia specifically for this, in a creative way. We experience introductions together through his works, and then later we broaden out, right? We look to associated talents per singer or per artist, and to where they're best known, and we experience them together at a later date. And if there's any artists I haven't gotten to yet, I've gotten to a good slew of them. I've cataloged their names for future reference, like I do all the recommendations I get in my comment section on a frequent basis. And the singer we're about to entertain for the first time together here is one of prominent standing in my comment section. And in hindsight, when I covered Visions of Atlantis and Dynasty, Unleash the Archers was also going to be intertwined, but one man can only do so much in about like a 12-hour window or so, and so I did have to push Unleash the Archers to a later date. Though I got Visions of Atlantis and Dynasty done, I am so glad I waited. Not because I'm not excited. I've been looking forward to it. In fact, I'm ready to go with Unleash the Archers, as I do for every artist I consult on this channel in order to support the artist. I feel better about it this way. I pre-purchase all the music I'm going to consult. And with Unleash the Archers, as I said, music is ready to go. But I didn't know that we'd be returning to Mortemia previous. And I didn't know that Brittney Slays, their frontwoman, made an appearance here through My Demons and Die. So to continue the legacy of the Mortemia model, I'm grateful I waited. Because this will be our point of entrance on introduction, has been the story of many artists that have graced this channel, from whether it be the European credit, or I'm going to call it European adjacent through Unleash the Archers' affiliation to Napalm Records. Typically, they carry a lot of European groups with some deviations, and Unleash the Archers is the first Canadian group to grace this channel. So, again, we're going country hopping all sorts of different places. I've jumped around even beyond Europe, because we, of course, have talent abroad, and it's fun to experience other countries and what they have to offer, especially from maybe unfamiliarized names, but some are noteworthy to me. Like with the example earlier of Katrina Nix, South American South America. I almost said South Africa. I'm like, well, that's not correct. America, New Zealand, and of course, Europe, different countries and continents we've entertained together. And at this point now, we approach Canada in the future. Though, Mortemia will not be our only first introduction to Brittney Slays. I have another work incoming that will prepare us for that through Pyrames. I believe they're, Danish-based. They did a work with her. I'm going to get to them in anticipation first, and then we'll make it our way to Unleash the Archers. But for sure, they're coming. So for all of you who have put their name alongside many others, typically Visions of Atlantis, the two came alongside one another typically, at least from what I witnessed, that whenever VOA came through, there was Unleash the Archers as well. And so I'm like, okay, at some point I will get to them. They're coming. But we're going to start here. This will be our introduction to Brittney Slays specifically. And then one day, as per usual with the Mortemia story, as it approaches this channel, we will broaden out. Let's get an introduction through My Demons and I. I quite like the name. Fits, again, the darker mood of what the gothic tone invokes. I'm expecting something a bit psychological, perhaps, cathartic. I mean, it could be literal. We'll see. I don't have lyrics to reference this track at the moment, so I'm going to be going off what I can hear, but I would think there's more of an internal conversation with the song. We'll see, right? Dealing with perhaps the obstructions of life. Let's witness it together for ourselves and gain an introduction, perhaps mutually, or some of you are going to witness my first encounter. Maybe you've already heard her. Of course, all of you Unleash the Archers fans, I'm sure this is your story, and I'm sure going to grace the comments of, just get to the group already. I'm making my way there. But this is our first entry point to Brittney Slays. First time I've ever witnessed her talents, and maybe some of you will share in that same story, and for some of you, maybe that's the story of Mortemia. I cannot wait for you to be introduced there, or perhaps to the European metal market, and I'm excited to take that journey with you. Again, I think music is better enjoyed in company, and to share it with you. I love that experience. So here we go. My Demons and I, and our introduction to Brittney Slays, who will be, I'm sure, another long-standing name on this channel, like every other credit on Mortemia's works. Thus far. This feels like a traditional metal number. I already like the key choice a lot. And this fits with the genre tease of where I know Unleash the Archers goes. This is a good follow-up to from where Devastation Bound goes as a song. That's the previous number. This is track 6. That's track 5. Even transitions. Those defined riffs. Beautiful. Again, real traditional rock feel with this one. But intense. Those pacing combinations really work, because there's probably some of my favorites on the album thus far. That's a dramatic and resonant voice, especially in the higher inflections. That power! I liked the Ed Sheeran performance. I'm sure Unleash the Archers is going to be a fun ride. Man, I'm even more excited now. She's a great fit for this. Probably one of the best matches on the album, especially for this song. Again, a perfect feat from Devastation Bound. Here we have a lighter choir application. And the faster pace, it feels like a nice progression. It just feeds seamlessly. This album has excellent mapping. That's incredibly rich. I'm really excited to get a broader window. Those lingers are nice. I'm trying to tell if that's an accent or if that's just her vocal styling, but it has a great resonance. This is one of my favorite songs on the album thus far, and I'm not one to rank things because I have liked everything I've heard. I don't want to shortchange any of her works, but this one stands out. There is such good application with this song. When she gets to that lower range on the inflection, the vibrations just really stick. So something I forgot to mention with Unleash the Archers, genre bass. There's a lot here. Fusion metal, melodic death metal, heavy metal, and power metal. I typically, as a favorite, do prioritize symphonic, which part of the reason I love Mortemia so much. Again, the atmosphere that you have in application is incredibly dynamic, but that much of a field. And I have been introduced to like heavy metal, power metal, melodic death, and fusion will be a fun entrance for me. I'm really looking forward to getting to Unleash the Archers, especially after that work. It's a good tease, but I'm excited to experience such a broad field. And if this number is, in fact, an entrance, I mean, there could be perhaps some deviations. It's been the story in the past of Mortemia that you get that introduction, it very much is a tease that broadens out, right? When you consider the other artists and their works, there's a whole new field of vision that builds out. There's a lot introduced there, because it is one of the harder works off of this album, and it flows beautifully from Devastation Bound, which I recommend if you've not experienced. Again, in entirety, you should consult the Pandemonium sessions. But Devastation Bound, key one you should introduce yourself to. This takes the assets of that song and just throttles them. Faster pace, heavy metal mood, the tragic tone, the sufficient key choices, the riff breakdowns, the choir. Specific when I say there's a transference from song to song on mapping, the choir is extremely dominant, not only among that work, but what was the ever preceding one? I think that was Decadence Deepens Within, track 4. These songs are incredibly even on Destination, right? This is just the first 6 works. I think with the next song, we're jumping up to the 9th. Everything else we've entertained. It's a real even expression here. I love the roughness of that song. I do gravitate generally to more aggressive metal. So this totally sinks in with my interests. But the vocal reach, the vibration on her voice, and I'm trying to tell if there's an accent. It's a bit more challenging given the higher inflections plus the amplified aggression of the song, so you try to make it out. We're going to, I think, better see that in other expressions of Brittney's work. But that was beautiful from what we were teased, right? Just the passion in the performance, you can hear it. That force on her voice. Considering the other genre applications of Unleash the Archers, maybe some of her other work as well, I'm sure any of you who are knowledgeable of Brittney Slade's vocal talents, you could credit down below if you see a similarity. I think it's married well. In how it approaches a song, I think she's one of the best fits we've had on this album. That really stands out in my mind. You consider On Expectancy what a track sounds like, and then you pair it with the vocal association. It just melts. Extremely well defined. I like it a lot. And I hope for those of you that this is going to be a first experience, you share the same story. Maybe you've heard My Demons and I before. Strong line work, by the way. Again, like I said, the catharsis of a song, you can hear, at least from the lines I could pick out on a first witness, it does carry that vision forward. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are down below, and from whatever vantage point you approach this song, right? And Mortemia and Brittney slays as well, or, right? First introductions or familiarized names. Feel free to chime in. As I said, am very glad to reiterate that I waited with Unleash the Archers. Not because I don't want to get to them. I am incredibly eager. I've been for a while now. Because I got to those other two groups in what I was planning. Like, I didn't mean to keep delaying them, but now, having decided in the midst, just maybe a little under, somewhere between a couple of weeks and a month ago, to go back to Mortemia. To give, to not disregard any of our artists again with the Mortemia model essence. Because I had been introduced to a number of our artists for the tracks previous, right? But why leave 5 more out? And I didn't know at the time that Brittney Slays had graced the album, nor that she was the lead vocalist of Unleash the Archers. I found that out a little while ago, but then when I saw her name pop up, I'm like, okay, it's imperative. We continue the legacy I've given of our artist and marry it to Brittney Slays' regard as well. So, per typical fashion, we will broaden out. I am really looking forward to doing so, especially as a first tease in preparation of what we'll witness, perhaps. My Demons and I is a fun number. As I said, really marries to my interest, though I keep a broad net. I leave a door open, even beyond just typically metal, though I tend to prioritize focus there. You're rewarded just on the prospect of great music. I've not been disappointed by any artist or song that's graced this channel, and My Demons and I is no different. And as a first introduction to Brittney Slays, that just hypes me up for later. Again, for Unleash the Archers, we're coming up to that. Pure Maze is first via that collaboration. I forget the song at the moment that is, but that will be appearing first, and that is our second tease towards that later experience I know many of you are dying for me to have. But as a first step, that was a welcome one, and it definitely drives an interest fervor for me to dive deeper one day into Unleash the Archers, and that day is coming very soon. Thank you so much for watching this video. Before you bounce, feel free to drop a like and comment, subscribe to this channel with a ding on the bell, and share this video with your friends. And consider checking out the description here. There you'll find links to my other channels, as well as addresses to my other social media accounts and ways you can help support my work if you feel so inclined. May God bless you, and looking forward to when our paths cross again.